Good morning. Cray cray. Cray cray. So it is 1 p.m. I just woke up because I work night shift. I got home at 7. No, I got home at 8:15 and it's now 1, so I slept for a few hours, and I'm going to make myself look like a human and start my day. Obviously haven't taken care of my face yet, but I wanted to show you one of the charms of country living. The chickens have found their way into our kitchen garden. And actually, I'm supposed to chase them out, so I'm going to go in there and chase them out. We don't want them to get in the habit of going in there and eating all of our berries and stuff when we do have berries. Come on, you guys. Come on. Get out. Out, out. Out, out. No, not that way. Go on. Good chickens. So on my first morning when I wake up after my last day of work, so yesterday was my Friday, rather this last night was my Friday. So what I do is I get all of my face stuff and my toothbrush. I'll have to come down for my bite guard because I don't have enough hands right now, and bring it back up to me and my husband's bathroom because I have to alternate. I use all the downstairs. I use the downstairs bathroom and I sleep downstairs on night shift. When on my night shift after work, brain wake up after I'm done with night shift, because I come in downstairs, and so I don't wake my husband up when I come in the morning, and I stay awake at night the few nights leading up to work so that I can get myself on the schedule of being awake at night. So what I do is I usually work 3 days a week, so it's 12-hour shifts. So my bite guard. I work 3 nights a week, so the 2 nights leading up to it, the first night I will stay awake here at home through 1 or 2 a.m. and then the next night I'll try to stay up until 5 or 6 a.m. And so that way, by my first day going to work, I am my clock has been reset to being awake at night and asleep during day. So I think I got everything. So so that the first night of work I'm not useless and just really tired, and my body, this way my body is prepped for doing the night thing. That's how I prepare for being a good night nurse. In my opinion, being a night nurse takes a special kind of commitment to your job, because you do have to change around your home life a lot, in that you're changing your whole sleep schedule on a regular basis. So, and then it affects not being able to sleep with your husband every single night because your sleep schedule's altered. So I had a dream this morning when I went to sleep at 8 a.m. I got this dragon fruit, and it's a special treat because they're $6 a piece. But I dreamt that somebody had cut it, and I opened the fridge, and it was partially eaten, and I was disappointed because it's supposed to be like a special thing. Like, my daughter and I will cut it together, and we've only done it once before, so because it's expensive. So we will cut it into slices, and then we'll enjoy it together. So in my dream I was disappointed because somebody had already cut it and started the process of eating it. Get my vitamins going to try to maintain a healthy body. So I got my multi. I'm kind of taking whatever we have already in the house. Got vitamin C. We got this probiotic, Pro B. And then this is general immune health, which my sweet husband got me because I'm working night shift and that messes with your immune system. So this is the Proctor Silex electric tea kettle, and you're supposed to empty out the water every time so it doesn't create rust or whatever. I can't remember what they called it, but anyway, you're supposed to empty out the water when it's done. So I get however much water I'm planning to turn into tea. This was cheap. We got it because it doesn't whistle, so that's nice because you don't have to run to the kitchen when you hear the whistling, and it's electric, which I was telling my husband, oh, Estee Lalonde, the blogger I was talking about, she has an awesome electric water kettle, and the one that I found on Amazon was $100 and something. We ran into this one at a convenience store, and it was like $15. So we got it, and it's good. It does the job. It boils the water, and it boils it pretty fast. The only thing I don't like about it is that once or twice it has stayed on heat mode, because what it does is this little button here, so it's like this, and you press it down to make it start heating, and then once it finishes heating, once it senses that it's boiling or whatever, then it automatically clicks off. But it's happened a few times that it hasn't clicked off, and it just keeps boiling and boiling away, and then eventually you just have these hot metal rods in there that are just hot, and no water in there, which is not good. And the other thing I don't like about it is that there's no sound whatsoever when it's finished. So I don't need the screech of the tea kettle, but I would like a ding dong or something like that so that I am alerted to when it's finished boiling, because what keeps happening is I'll go and start doing something, and then I'll forget that I was making tea. Giving myself a hard time because I wasn't perfect at work. I was good, did a good job, but when I gave a report, there were two things that not important things, but like one thing that I forgot to mark off, and then one like informational family thing that I forgot to tell to the nurse. And so just two things that I didn't pass on and report. And I like to be perfect. I am a perfectionist, not in everything in life, but with work I'm a perfectionist, and I always like to be like exceptionally good. So it always, and that's a pride thing, because I know pride's not good. There's no reason to feel like I am naturally perfect, and so to not be perfect is to betray my natural self. That's kind of the indication that you give when you're upset at yourself for not doing something perfectly. It's like, oh, I betrayed who I really am because I'm really actually perfect, and now people are going to think that I'm not perfect. That's really silly. So, but I do this every time, and I have to work on it. Maybe I'll have to put some energy behind changing this aspect of me. Like, do I have to read a book? Do I have to say nice things to myself? Do I have to read a certain part of the Bible? Because it's not productive, and it's not going to change. I am going to make mistakes. Now, I've been at this new job for not even 4 months. I've been there, let's see, October 10th I started. October, November, December, January. So a little bit over 3 months. And I've gotten way better, like every single night that I'm working, and I should give myself at least a little pat on the back for just improving every time I go to work, and for being the kind of person who cares enough to be trying to improve, because some people don't care enough about their jobs that they don't really care about improving, but I do, and that's good. But it's because what I did is I texted the nurse that I had given report to, and without giving any patient identifiers, but just like she knew what I was talking about. I gave her the information after the fact, so she has the information now. Again, no patient identifiers were in there, so I didn't break HIPAA. But I still feel I was embarrassed to have to contact her at all and to tell her something that I had forgotten. And so if it were, it's my typical go-to, and this is probably what I'm going to be battling for the next hour or so, is a feeling of guilt and disappointment in myself, and just kind of feeling bad. And I have a hard time letting myself off the hook for imperfections, even if they're small things. Like I didn't hurt anybody, nobody's care suffered. It was just me not looking perfect today because of two very small things. And probably the nurse that I gave a report to doesn't think it's a big deal at all. But the thing is, I haven't gotten like the confirmation from her that, oh, everything's okay, and she doesn't think that I'm stupid. Because she didn't respond to the text. Normally, so if she were to respond to the text and be like, oh, hey, no biggie, no problem, everything's good, then I'd be like, oh, okay, everything's good, she's still happy with me, she still doesn't think that I'm dumb or incompetent, and then it would be an immediate off my chest, like, oh, okay, everything's good, and the world is good, but when, without her confirmation, without that text saying that all is well and she doesn't, and oh, everything's okay, that's good, without that, then I'm like, oh, she's probably over there thinking I'm dumb, and maybe she's reporting me to the boss that I can't do my job well, and it's an issue. And I don't know if that would be considered low self-esteem or high self-esteem, because if I'm expecting myself to be perfect, and my big problem is that I suddenly wasn't perfect, then what does that fall under? Low self-esteem or high self-esteem? Pride? I think pride typically aligns more with high self-esteem, but it's one of those questions you could talk about for a long time. Anyway, that's what's on my brain right now. One thing I was telling myself is Jesus died for my sins. And even though it's not actually a sin, but just a mistake, an innocent mistake of not being perfect, if that could even be called a mistake, but to relieve myself of the guilt, I just tell myself, Jesus died for my sins. And if Jesus died for my sins, then, Jesus' death compared to me not saying two things in report or not being perfect, that's like, doesn't even register on the scale of what he died for me for. So it's kind of like, hey, I'm already forgiven for way more than not being perfect. But if you guys know any good Bible verses that align with what I'm talking about, and actually I'm going to look it up, I'm going to Google, I'm going to look up on YouTube Mark Driscoll and the words like not perfect or something like that, because he probably has a sermon on it, and I adore Mark Driscoll's sermons. We used to go to, I've never seen Mark Driscoll in person, but we went to his, I'm just going to say chain of churches because I don't know how else to say it. We went to one of his churches, the Mars Hill churches, when we were in Seattle, and here, I'm gonna throw it in. He's so smart. He knows the Bible back and forth. He has read probably hundreds of books of history in regards to biblical times and what people really meant when they said certain words, or we might take it a certain way, but in that context it was something different. And he's funny and charismatic, and I love listening to the guy. So in our old church, Mars Hill in West Seattle, they would broadcast his sermon. I think it may have even been live, I don't know, while we were all sitting in the pews. And at first it was weird sitting there and watching a screen, but it quickly became normal for us. and his sermons are so stinking good that it was fine for us to watch him via screen and not in person. So if I find, either way, I'm going to link Mark Driscoll's sermons down below, and then additionally, if I find a sermon on specifically we're human, we're not perfect, and only Jesus and God are perfect, then I will link that below too, because maybe somebody out there is having the same issue as I have. So I have a little unboxing to do. I don't know if this is for me or for my husband, because a lot of times I will just address on Amazon, I'll just have it addressed to my husband's name. So it's always kind of a little surprise if it's something for both of us or if it's for him or for me. Oh, this is mine. Yay! Touched by an Angel. So this is his music wire. But this is mine. So, Touched by an Angel. This is a series that I watched when I was growing up, and it inspired me to be more Christian. It inspired me to have a relationship with God. And so I have been planning on getting this for my daughter for a long time, and hopefully she just takes to it and loves watching it. I think what I'll try doing is I will just start watching it, and then eventually she usually will come around and start watching whatever I'm watching. She'll just get drawn into it. And so I think I'm just going to do it that way, instead of me like saying, hey, sit down and watch this with me, and forcing her or making her do it. I'm going to see if I can get her sucked into watching it and liking it on her own, like it was her idea. So, but really I got it so that she will fall in love with the characters and have a desire for a closer relationship with God too.
About a boy and his sister, because it's animated, so I can't really tell how that was.
Oh, was it that weird one that you and I... So it's the next day. I woke up an hour ago, which was 1:30 p.m. because I stayed up until 3:30 a.m. to start getting my body back on night shift mode. I work tomorrow night, but this way my clock is already reversed by the time I go back to work tomorrow night. So I went to sleep at 3:30. I woke up at 1:30, which was 1:30 p.m., which is an hour ago. So it's 2:30 now. And I wanted to show you something I'm proud about, even though I shouldn't be proud about it. So I French braided my hair. I didn't do a very good job, I know, but I'm proud that I was able to do it at all, because I never had the coordination before to be able to do a French braid on my own hair. I could French braid other people's hair normally. I'm not going to say well, but I could French braid it to an acceptable quality. But my own hair, I had given up for a long time even trying, because I didn't have that dexterity of being able to do it to my own hair. And I just kept trying, and now I'm kind of getting it. And by a year from now, maybe I'll actually have it down. So, and then while I'm speaking about my cray-cray hair, I know the color is cray-cray, but my hairdresser who was super awesome. She put the dye into my hair, and neither one of us expected for my hair to take it as well as it did. I was going for a darker look, like a Sharon Osbourne kind of red, and this is pretty close, but after having it for a month or so, and yes, it's growing out now, but after having it for a month or so, I love having red hair, but I don't want it to look unnatural red very much, so I'm gonna go for a more natural red. Also, my awesome hairdresser is 4 hours away. I'm going to, since I've realized now that red hair takes some upkeep because it washes out with hot water in the shower, then I'm going to look for somebody who's more local so I can go and have her do touch-ups on a regular basis. Hey guys, got my hairs did. Got like a burgundy-ish. I like it. So I got a Mac Pro for Christmas, and I'm still learning how to use the Mac to begin with. But then I also got Final Cut Pro for Christmas to edit my videos, and I'm trying to figure out how to use that additionally. So I am kind of working in alien territory here, starting from the basics, because I have a hard time navigating my Mac to begin with, and also the setup looks really different from Pinnacle Studios, which I was using before, but I'm taking it up a notch because Pinnacle Studios has done okay with me, but I haven't been totally impressed, and all of the YouTubers that I love and watch on YouTube, they use Final Cut Pro, or at least it seems like most of them do. So I'm learning that program, and once I get a lot of the basics down, then I'll be just fine. But right now it's just like I don't even know. I'll hit import and it does something different than what I think it's gonna do, or it seems to import the files, but then I can't find them after that. So I'm just taking it one step at a time, and unless I get totally frustrated with the learning process of Final Cut Pro and get impatient, unless that happens, then this vlog is going to be the first thing that I ever edit using Final Cut Pro. I mean, seriously, so I made this album vlog, and I'm trying to move it onto my desktop because I'm trying to import it, and it doesn't see anything. Oh, maybe it's just taking a long time. Okay, so apparently it just takes a really long time for things to move over, because basically I couldn't find my vlog for January 30th on albums. I couldn't figure out how to locate albums from Final Cut Pro, and so I moved it onto my desktop because I could find my desktop, and there was nothing in the folder on the desktop, even though I had copied it over to the desktop. So then I tried deleting that folder because it looked like it had moved just the folder name over, but it hadn't moved over any of the content. So I thought it was a dud. So I started to delete the desktop folder. And then now, one by one, slowly, it's moving. It looks like my desktop folder is filling up with the stuff that I had initially wanted to copy over onto the desktop. Okay guys, what am I doing wrong? I have to be doing something wrong because I don't know why any Mac users out there, and I know there's lots of you, let me know. It can't be normal for, so what I had is I had in my projects with photos and then my projects, I had 43 items in one of my projects, and then I wanted to move the pictures or videos actually from my projects onto the desktop. So I made a copy and I dragged the copy over to the desktop, and just trying to move that folder from my projects onto the desktop. Now it has brought over it's brought over 11 out of the 43 videos over to my desktop, and it's been somewhere around 45 minutes, and it's taken that long. It's slowly bringing stuff over. So, and they're not long videos, they're very short. So I don't know, I guess one of them was like 15 minutes, but the other ones are like 3 to 5 minutes each. So what am I doing wrong? Tell me. Why isn't this working faster?